No, they're both here. That's going to be a screenshot too. So we've been collecting your questions all show, and one of the first ones that everybody started asking is, you guys both work on Rebels.
Yes.
Rebels is ending.
Yep. Right.
How are you feeling about that?
Sad.
I want to keep working a Star Wars show, and it makes me sad too.
You don't want to see Alyssa start cry because everything gets wet. It's awful.
Oh no.
It's really awful. No, it's really sad. It's
really
very sad. But the good thing is that they get to do it the way they had intended, which wasn't necessarily the case for the ending of Clone Wars. And being a Star Wars fan, I love that the creators of the show get to do this the way their vision was laid out. So
I think a lot of fans feel that way.
They do get to finish it off, and Star Wars kind of has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and there's a whole epic conflict that is being portrayed, and they get to finish it. And I'm glad that they get to do that. With Clone Wars, they didn't, but I'm glad they have that. It's very sad to see it finish, though. It's such a great team, and it is such a great show. That's
such a good show.
It's really had some very, just for me personally as a Star Wars fan, that were just very exciting moments, and really satisfying all the way through. I mean, I really, really enjoyed it. You guys did such a great job as the crew on that.
Oh, thanks, dude. I'm just excited that I finally get to take some time off with Hot Callus and go visit some vacation planets somewhere.
Awesome. So what were some of your favorite episodes of Rebels?
Oh, there's so many.
Right?
One of my favorites was, I think it was really early on when Rex came into the picture, and we were fishing. You guys were fishing for the...
Slinging for Jupas.
Yeah. Slinging for Jupas and using me as bait. That was fantastic.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Just hilarious. It was terrifying, though, for me, because especially with Gregor, who, after the explosion in Clone Wars, and he came back and he's like a little off, and they wanted to play him, not as this ARC trooper, but as this kind of wacky character, and I really didn't know if that was going to work.
It was so great.
And I didn't know until we saw it. It's like, I buy this, and it does work.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different angle, but I think it works, and I was greatly relieved. But I think, for me personally, my favorite moment was with Darth Vader's return. That was really thrilling to me, and Darth Vader and Ahsoka. That whole showdown was also very exciting. I wish I could see more of that. I love that.
I was honestly surprised at how terrifying Vader was in that format.
Yes.
On a small screen. It was amazing. It was a great interpretation of him.
So good.
And to get him back, the voice of Vader back in to do that with us. I wish
Were you guys in the studio?
My only regret was that we didn't get to be in the studio at the same time. He was in New York.
Yeah.
I think he was doing a play. But
oh my gosh!
But just to hear,
but the moment
thrilling.
also when Ahsoka broke the mat, and Ahsoka is very, very. As I assume to everybody, she's very, very dear to the Star Wars universe, and her moment of realization was just heartbreaking, but powerful, insanely.
Well, it was really cool, too, that Dave Filoni and his infinite wisdom and the crew over at Lucasfilm brought back these characters from Clone Wars and integrated them into the story. And I remember going to Comic-Con and bringing you guys out on stage, and all of us were screaming. We were so excited that you were part of this.
They announced that when they played the trailer, and you could hear Rex's voice in the trailer.
Yeah.
And it was a very loud room.
Yeah, I will never forget that moment. It was one of the greatest panel moments I've ever had.
Well, you were just speaking to the fact that Clone Wars did not get to end the way that you guys wanted to, so this is kind of a really nice way to bring these characters back who everybody loved from that show and give them their ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, at the same time, be connective tissue to the first Star Wars movie.
Absolutely.
And Rogue One and everything else that...
So who's your favorite Rebel that you don't play?
I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, but Chopper.
My 3-year-old niece loves Chopper.
Yeah.
Her first Star Wars is now Rebels.
Yeah.
And she's 3, so she just sees colors and awesome happening, and so, but when she sees Chopper, she goes, "Ha, bad robot," and I'm like, "Bad robot? That's Chopper. You don't understand what that's also a company, but like,
Yeah. Well, I'm 57. I still have that reaction.
Bad robot. Yeah.
Oh, they built so much personality into it, like they did with R2, but it's just a whole different animal. Yeah.
I just remember in those Meet the Characters that Dave Filoni did before right before the first movie, when he was like, if R2's a dog, Chopper's a cat,
I was like, say that, and
I just was like,
oh, I never heard that.
Yeah,
that's really appropriate.
Yeah.
Except he always misses the cat box. So we have to clean up after him when I go to visit. Well, it's the only way I get to visit Lucasfilm. I have to clean up after Chopper.
You're like, all right.
Well, get back up there.
Yeah. So, your favorite Rebel that you don't play?
It's probably gonna be Hera. I really love the female characters and how Ahsoka really led the way with that, and that there's even more in this present season. And I think it's great. Having 2 daughters myself, and it's a universe that includes all these different kinds of characters and people and gender, and it's I think that is important, and I love that.
Agreed. I mean, without like Leia was always the center of all of that moving forward. And now we have Hera and Ahsoka and Rey
and Sabine
and Sabine and Jyn.
Amazing.
We have Forces of Destiny.
I love that. I love that women are finally getting their due and respect.
I mean, we would argue that Leia's been here all along. But,
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, she was the one who kind of broke the barrier there.
Oh, yeah.
And so many amazing women have followed in the Star Wars universe.
Oh, yeah.
So it's exciting to see that in the room, too. And how powerful they become in the show. Just the way they've written stories for them, too, and to flesh it all out.
And I mean, we even heard about Hera in Rogue One when they did the call for her.
Yeah. General Syndulla. Yep.
So cool.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel hearing your voices when you watch something that you're acting in? Is there like a disconnect, or are you like, oh, that's me? That seems like a...
It's not impressive.
I mean, I think everyone here would argue that it is. We just watched you play your face. That's impressive.
Well, Dee and I talked about this with your daughters also, and how you would read them stories, and they would say, no, Daddy, just
that was the quote from my oldest. Is,
talk normal, Dad. Talk normal.
And like, every other kid is like, do voices.
I'm trying to read you The Hobbit. I can do all these great voices for that.
Talk normal, Daddy.
So did you, when you found out you were having your first child, did you think about like, oh my God, I get to read my kid The Hobbit in all these voices?
Yes.
And these are these.
Yes.
And then.
Yes. Of course. And she shut me down.
Yeah.
There was none of that. She wanted to hear Dad. She doesn't want to hear like the foundation of my universe is now spouting weird voices, and that's not what a kid wants. It turns out. Who'd have thought? But a kid just wants to hear Dad sound like Dad. So that makes perfect sense, actually, and I was okay with that. It took me aback momentarily. My performer's vanity was...
I just intimidated my children into pretending they like to hear the character voices.
Well, you do. I mean, Spike and Wolverine.
Yeah, but they didn't care.
Oh, okay.
One of my sons is right here, Brandon. He didn't... As I recall, when you were little, you didn't care about the anime stuff at all. You didn't really understand it. You were too young, really, to be watching that stuff.
I was a big Digimon fan.
Digimon, yeah.
Well, that kind of a voice is fun for a kid to hear anyway.
But doing something in my normal speaking voice, and it's fighting and whatever, you guys were watching Disney movies and stuff. You really didn't care about any of that until I started doing video games, and it was cool because your friends liked those games. That's what made me cool, I think. I think that was the turning point. So
the most impressive thing I ever did, I think, in the eyes of my kids was do one episode of a show called Big Time Rush. Oh, yeah. That was an on-camera kind of a boy band series on Nickelodeon that I was brought in like for one day to play the wacky guest teacher, just chewing the scenery and just a totally ridiculous, but it was a lot of fun. But it's like, to a kid, that's impressive. Is an on-camera series, not so much voice acting.
I listened to an interview with Idina Menzel where she was talking about how her son uses the fact that she's Elsa to like pick up girls. Like, my mom's Queen Elsa.
Wow.
Because he's in like middle school now. Yeah. So I'm like,
Stone Cold Frozen.
yeah, that's awesome. So do either of you read Star Wars comics?
Sadly, no.
No, I don't. I don't have time for comics or really much TV or movies, unfortunately. If I had time, I would, but I just don't have time these days.
Fair enough. So, okay, this is one of my questions. In Rogue One, with all the voices, did you guys get to throw in yours?
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. Because like you could see the ghost, so obviously you guys were there.
Yeah, you were there the day that I was there. I think you were. Or maybe you came in the.
No, not in Rogue One.
Not in Rogue One.
No.
But
I thought you did voices.
Force Awakens. I was in.
Oh, okay.
Very briefly, I did the first alien that died at the camp. You know, it's going like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
The, kind of a red face.
Oh, yeah, I remember
and they're killing him. That I was the first alien sound that you hear in the new Star Wars movie there.
That's right. I remember that.
And I did some other stuff, and I don't know if they
Trivia.
used it and kept it or not.
trivia, remember that?
Yeah.
Like trivia night, that's got to show up somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I'm sure
Who's
it was
the
picked
first-
out.
yeah.
It's got to be out there.
Yeah.
I was called in to do voices for Rogue One, and you were asking before if we get excited about or the disconnect about
Yeah.
seeing our characters on
Yeah.
screen, hearing the voices behind it. Rogue One was one of those rare instances where I'm sitting in the theater and I'm going, oh my God, I did the voice of that trooper. Oh my God, I did the voice of that alien. Oh my God, I'm that Imperial guy. I screamed right there. And it probably came out loud. I was really trying not to, but I got very excited.
Well, see,
it was
now
a
I
Star
wanna-
Wars movie. That
I
was a
want to
whole-
watch Rogue One with you so you can point out which ones are you.
Yeah, and I'm still not absolutely clear because they had everybody do their own version of it. I threw out probably a dozen Carabasts in that, and Matt Wood, we all know who Matt Wood is, it was our voice director that day. I don't think he picked up on any of the ones that I did, but he put a Carabast into the film after the fact. He told me that, so I was excited. But there were a lot of little things that we were trying to put in. Actually, when they do what they call donut sit at one point, where everybody's walking around, especially in a crowd scene. So everybody sort of walks around in an oval in front of the microphone. And as we were going around the circle, I would try to call out the name of each person and make it sound like an alien language. So it was like, James Arnold Taylor. You know, and I would do that in a different voice as we were walking by. So I tried to pick out every single person in the room and learn their name and put their name in there. And I don't know if any of that played, but it's built into some of those scenes somewhere.
That's so cool.
Yeah, a lot of the crowd scenes, a lot of the village type scenes. So a lot of that stuff would show up there. I don't know if anybody's picked that stuff out yet.
Well, now everyone is.
Yeah.
Now we're all gonna go
Yeah.
home and watch Rogue One and be like, okay.
Yeah. And also people in my life too, my crew from my company, my assistant and dear friend Ray Rani. I said her name, and she's from New Zealand. She's got this really cool exotic name, Ray Rani Taurima. And so I did that in some crazy character voice too. And Trina Wotan.
That's so cool.
Yes, it was really fun. But you know, you do it, you just spread it out, and it sounds like a different language.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was super fun and sort of hidden stuff.
Feel like there's a Facebook question.
Yeah, on Facebook, how do you guys rest and take care of your voices?
Ooh, that's a great question.
A lot of shutting up.
Yeah, first of all, you shut up and stop talking, and you might drink some. I mean, a lot of people seem to have like a lozenge or a special
I have one right here.
thing that they have, and I don't. I might have some warm tea, non-caffeinated tea, and I'll do some vocal exercises that a singing teacher once taught me, and that's about it. It's pretty simple. Just vocal rest is the best.
Yeah, and fluids. Got to drink a lot of. I drink
Yeah.
a lot of water.
Yep.
Lubricate before and after. And I use these things. They're it's a Chinese herbal throat drop. Probably inappropriate to give the name of it here, but
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. It sounds worse than it is.
It
too,
sounds
actually.
bad.
But
Can
they
I
work,
see?
They work really well. It's a different packaging. You've seen them before. It used to be in the
Yeah.
other package. But there are a few of us who bring our own remedies. Fred Tatasciore brings like a suitcase full of things. There's something with like 4 Korean names on it that I can't pronounce that's made out of some sort of citrus rind, and we call it Fred juice. And it's this goopy, horrible, drippy stuff. But it coats the whole throat, and it makes you feel a little bit better once you've blown yourself out. So I do use those kinds of things too. But literally the best thing to do is to shut up. Just stop.
The very best thing to do is to try to do it so you don't hurt your voice in the first place. And as you get more experience as a voice actor, you come to a point where you don't overwork. You actually work less to get as much or better, but with a lot less vocal strain and effort. And you just kind of learn that. I mean, with a lot of things that we do, ultimately it's gonna hurt, and you're gonna hurt yourself. But when you're earlier in your career, when you're starting out, you'll often just blow yourself out just like that, because you don't know to get more of the specifics of what they need first, and then to kind of consult with the engineer to make sure that they know that this part coming up is going to be very loud, so they can work their compressor, so they don't have to go back and re-record it and do double damage to your voice. Things like that. You pick those up eventually. But once you've done it for a while, you protect yourself as best you can, and then you got the throat coat or the lozenges or the vocal rest.
Well, and especially if you're working with a new director too, who isn't familiar with how vocal stress can damage a person's instrument. And so if I do go in on a game or a session where I know that there's going to be some vocally stressful things, I'll say, okay, how many times am I going to be electrocuted? Or stabbed in the neck, and can we save
like
that?
You do at a job?
And can we save that for the end of the session? And let's get everything else done, and if we have time, great. And if not, let's do a separate session with that, and then I can go home and bleed.
Well, it's another thing that you learn is to take a little more active role in the management of the session.
Yeah.
Not just to protect your voice, but to make sure that they get everything that they need by the end of the session, because there's only so much gas in the tank, so to speak. And so you help to, as you're saying, to kind of share the workload of the session and spread it out a little bit so that you can make it all the way through and they still get what they want without excessive takes after they have what they need, for instance. Yeah.
And we have another question. It's kind of similar vein. Is there a character that you can't or don't do anymore that you would really like another chance to, if the world permitted?
Wolverine. Yeah, Wolverine is sort of been put on the back burner now, I think, because the studio had some deal where they weren't going to be using voice of Wolverine for a while until the movie franchise was exhausted. That was my understanding. So I've been sitting there waiting by the phone and hoping that I get to audition for it again. And it's not a sure thing either. Even if we do these legacy characters, many times we have to go back in and audition for them because it's a different production team, and they want to put their own stamp on it, and I respect that.
Yep. You never assume that you don't own the character, so you never assume that it's just always you. Or at least I don't.
Right.
There are some instances where some people have they feel an ownership, and perhaps rightfully so, of the character, and they feel that it should be them. But for the most part, you just don't assume that as a voice actor, because you'd be honest. There's really great, crazy talent, and people want a different angle sometimes, and you just don't always know.
Awesome. I want you guys to do me a little bit of a favor. So we have 4 winners from last week, and I feel like they each should be announced in like a different character.
Okay.
Yeah. And the first one's from Canada, so I feel like you should take that as a very specific, famous Canadian that you voice. So just say...
But not in a Canadian accent.
I mean...
Oddly enough, yeah.
Yeah, but if you just would like to say the winner of the Iron... Yeah.
Right. I'm announcing the winner of the Iron Man Avengers Assemble statue. This goes to Brad Sargent from Canada. Congratulations, bub.
I don't know.
Number 4, with my crappy Australian accent. Congratulations, Paul Ferris from Australia. Winner of Lobo's 6 scale figure. Kids rule.
Nice.
Home them kids next door.
Oh my god.
I'd love to do that show again.
Yeah, that was fun.
I was number 4. the blonde bellicose one that you
I
all
know!
That was me, number 4. Are you okay?
I clearly didn't research you like well enough. 'Cause now I'm like, oh my god, he's literally the voice of every cartoon I've ever watched in my life. So maybe Zeb.
Right. Okay. So I'm announcing this one here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I'd like to announce the winner of the. I
No,
don't
you
say
don't
the
say
number.
that. You
All
don't
right.
say the number.
R2:Q5 Imperial Astromech Droid, and the winner of that is STACIE Spencer from the US. Congratulations, STACIE.
That's amazing.
I've heard of your planet.
From the U.S. How about this Daffy Duck? Okay. Finally, the winner of the Skeletor statue is STEFANIA ASAFF from ASAFF.
Did you say what I think you said?
Of course I did. From the U.S., United States. Congratulations, STEFANIA.
I'm just dying. Oh my god.
There.
It's going to be all right.
I know. It's just funny because we talked about me crying all day, and now you're gonna. I know. Now, and since I always butcher everyone's name too, like I'm never gonna be able to announce another winner.
Just do it like that.
You guys did it perfectly in four
Thank you.
different voices.
Thank you.
Exactly like that, and you'll be fine.
Oh my god.
So much
Oh
fun.
my god.
It's such an honor, too.
I don't even know how to do this.
Well, you're in the splash zone. Why would
I
you?
am.
Do you need a parka? Or
I'm totally
poncho?
good. No, I'm
Okay.
I'm fine.
It's humbling. It's so humbling.
Wow. So
How winners get their prizes?
wait, weren't they already contacted?
Oh yeah,
These are from last week. They're from live contest last week, so they're good. But thank you for the reminder because I would have forgotten. I'm
Go
very
to Dee's house to
distracted.
pick them up.
Yeah, that's why I have the producers here, so that way they can catch my mistakes. So how did you guys get into voice acting? Just quickly to wrap this up, someone wants to know because it's some advice for someone trying to break in to the voice acting world.
Well, my advice is go to my website, iwanttobeavoiceactor.com, and I have all of my long-winded advice there for becoming an actor and a voice actor. All the nuts and bolts about becoming a voice actor, it's all free, there's no ads, it's just information. So that's a great place to go.
What is that? Can you repeat that?
iwanttobeavoiceactor.com.
iwanttobeavoiceactor.com.
Yes, other than that, I would recommend live performing in any capacity, especially in front of a live audience, and you want to become an actor. You're not just doing voices, you're doing characters. And so you want to become a confident live performer who's good at improv and probably has a good range of characters, and there's lots of different ways to come at that, not just one way. You don't have to study acting, although some do, but live performing, and then if you want to do animation and voiceovers, and games and that kind of thing, Los Angeles is not a bad place to wind up, but I wouldn't start there. I would get your confidence in a smaller market and work your way up to that, because it's going to be a slog, but that's fun.
Patience and passion. Yeah, you have to be passionate about it too, because for a good percentage of your career, if you're considering this as a career, you have to be prepared to do it for a long time for no or little money. And even at this stage of the career, it tends to go up and down. So you can't, it's not a 9-to-5 job. We get fired every single day. So you have to be prepared for that. I recommend iwanttobeavoiceactor.com every day, and to the point where I've printed up little cards and I hand them out at conventions. But you guys have been pestering me so much for so many years to do something beyond that I actually have created a webinar series with my team here, and it's going to be at bloomvoxstudios.com. This is the first time we're announcing this.
Oh, great.
publicly.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're going to be launching
Bloomboxstudios.com.
bloomvoxstudios.com.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to be announcing that officially in about a month or so, and hopefully going live in a couple of months.
But you heard it here first.
You heard it here first, and we're going to be bringing guest stars on the show, and I hope, Dee, that you join us at some point.
Absolutely.
To do that, because I talk about you all the time, and I refer to you all the time.
Oh,
and,
cool.
It's just going to be, the other thing is that this is going to be an affordable way for people to learn about voice acting. And one of my biggest pet peeves is that those who do teach often aren't in the studio every day, and or they will charge an enormous amount of money and make promises that they can't keep. And so we want to avoid both of those things and help people get started on the right track.
That's awesome.
So
wow.
Yeah, so that's going to be coming soon. But in the meantime, oh, the Facebook community, yeah, it's Bloomvox Studios Community on Facebook, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm learning this because this is the part of the business.
We can
that I'm
add
not
it
good
to
at.
the tags
Yeah,
too.
yeah. So that's up and live today, and we put that up about a week ago, and we have a lot of people in the community now, and you guys can share information amongst each other too, which I think is very valuable. As people are going through this journey of voiceover, especially in the beginning stages, it's great to have support from your peers. And that's something that we didn't necessarily have when we were coming up through the ranks.
That's awesome.
Nope.
If you are on our Facebook page right now, we will tag it in the body of this post. So we will put a link to your Facebook page
Great.
in our post.
Awesome.
So that way you guys can, I can do that as soon as I'm off camera.
Yeah.
No worries. No worries. It's kind of my job to do that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us, both
Thank
of you and
you.
everybody out there.